I'm excited to come your way once again as we continue this wonderful journey in additional mathematics. In our previous lesson, we have looked at the identity element and we've considered how we can use some real numbers to be able to identify identity elements for addition, multiplication, division, and I hope by now you know for subtraction. My name is Nana Yawedu and you can call me Say Nana. Remember to share this video, like this video, comment when you have any question or you want to share any idea, and then remember to click on the notification bell and don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel. In this lesson, we are going to look at how we can use variables and then be able to identify the identity elements for numbers and letters in binary operation. So let's consider the identity element and look at a general way of explaining identity elements with numbers. So for identity elements, when considering binary operation, we indicate the identity element in an operation using the variable e. Right? So we use e as an indication for identity element. So in any operation where we see e, it represents the identity element. And the identity element operates in such a way that, for instance, if we have the identity element of addition, 2 plus 0, which gives us 2, we know that the identity element is a 0, right? So we can say a, let a be equal to the 2, and let the e, which is the identity, be equal to 0, right? So if you want to write this in terms of variables, we can say this is a plus 0 to be equal to what? A. Now let's assume the plus represents an operation. Then we can have a operation e to be equal to a, right? Where the 0 is equal to e, right? Or the 0 being the identity is equal to e. So we say that let e be the identity element such that a operation e is equal to a. So to be able to define the identity element, we say the identity element e of a set S. So it means that we should have a set first x, and we know that e should be a subset of the x, right? Or e should be in S for the identity element to exist. And we are using the operation star, so it is such that we have our a operation e, and in that way we can write the other way around, which is e operation a, and that should give us a. So from here we see that a operation e, which is equal to e operation a, tells us of a property, which is a commutative property, right? So this is a commutative property of binary operation. So we can say that an operation can only have an identity element if it is commutative. So take note of this very carefully. An operation can only have an identity element if it's commutative. This means that if it's not commutative, there is no identity element. Now let's consider an example. In this example, it says that a binary operation star is defined on the set of real numbers r by p operation q to be equal to 2p plus 2q plus pq. And we have to find the identity element under the operation star. So let's consider a solution for this question. So basically we have p operation q, and we know p operation q is equal to 2p plus 2q plus pq. Now, in being able to use the identity elements, if we want to write the general thing, we can say let e be the identity element. Let e be the identity element, right? Such that, so we are going to consider the p, right? So we have p operation e, and we can write it the other way around, where we write e operation p, and we'll say it's equal to p, right? So let's take any one of them. In this case, we want to take p operation e to be able to find the identity element. So we have p operation e. What this implies is that wherever we have our p, we replace it with our p in the operation, and then wherever we have our q, we replace it with the identity element e in the operation here. So it means that we can say that p operation E will be equal to 2p plus 2e plus p and e, right? And we know that from the definition for identity element, that should be equal to p. So we can say that 2p plus 2e plus pe, which stands for p operation E, should be equal to p. Now we can group like terms, leave all the e at one side. So we have 2e plus pe. Then we'll move the 2p to the other side. So it becomes p minus 2p. Right. Then we'll factorize e out here. So we have e, we have 2 plus p. Then p minus 2p will give us negative p. Then we'll divide both sides by 2 plus p. We'll divide this side by 2 plus p. So therefore, we'll have our e, which is the identity element, to be equal to minus p all over 2 plus p. So we can say that the identity element is equal to minus p all over 2 plus p. So in this lesson, we've basically looked at how we can find the identity element of an operation, and we've realized that for variables, we use the letter E to represent the identity element. And we've solved the question. Remember to share, subscribe, like, and comment on my YouTube channel. And don't forget to press on the notification bell. See you in the next lesson.